Okay, it's just about to 7. Uh, we'll start the today's webinar. Good evening, good morning to people who have joined us from the western side of the world. Namaste, Antarigla Namaskara. Hope all of us are safe and healthy. My name is Murli Joshi, your session moderator for today's webinar. A warm welcome to this edition of our Udyoga Deepika. I take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Professor Vishal Rao, who is our speaker today. Swagata, Suswagata, Dr. Vishal Rao.
Thank you,
Quickly,
Murli.
thank you, sir. Quickly, some of the ground rules for today. Please stay muted during the presentation. The session is recorded. It will be available to listen in later point in time. Also, we are live on YouTube today. So congratulations to all our Udyoga Deepika core team. This is the first time we are going live on YouTube. So please ask questions in the window, chat window. We will try to address it during the Q&A session. And as always, your feedback will help us enhance the quality of the program. With that, this is the agenda for today. We'll quickly do a welcome and talk about the Udyoga Deepika. We'll introduce the speaker. Then the topic of the day, World War C, a perspective in the COVID world by Dr. Vishal Rao. Then we'll have the question and answer session and we'll conclude. So thanks to Sri Dhananjay Rao Beltangadi for being the sponsor for July month's webinar. ನಿಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋ ಹಾಗೆ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಶ್ರೀ ಧನಂಜಯ ರಾವ್ ಅವರು ಉದಯೋನ್ಮುಖ ವಕೀಲರು, ಯುವ ಸ್ಥಾನಿಕ ನಾಯಕರು. ಅವರು ಇತ್ತೀಚೆಗಷ್ಟೇ ಬೆಳ್ತಂಗಡಿ ರೋಟರಿ ಕ್ಲಬ್ನ 50ನೇ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರಾಗಿ ಆಯ್ಕೆಯಾಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ABSBS ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನಿಂದ ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಅಭಿನಂದನೆಗಳು ಹಾಗೂ ಈ ತಿಂಗಳ ವೆಬಿನಾರ್ ಪ್ರಾಯೋಜಿತ್ವಕ್ಕೆ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಇದಲ್ಲದೆ ಧನಂಜಯ ರಾವ್ ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ಈ ವೆಬಿನಾರ್ನ ಉದ್ಯೋಗ ದೀಪಿಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಕಾರಣಕರ್ತರು ಕೂಡ. ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಧನಂಜಯ ರಾವ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ. Real quick, just the introduction to our Udyoga Deepika for people who have joined us for the first time. It's a monthly webinar program, a brainchild of a few like-minded community members. And it's incubated during the planning and preparation for Vishwasthanika Sammelana back in January 20. The concept is designed and executed by Career Development Committee of Akhila Bharata Sthanika Brahmana Sabha, Bengaluru. Udyoga Deepika was symbolically inaugurated on 11th January 20 during the Vishwa Sthanika Sammelana. Couple of objectives of the Udyoga Deepika. It's to conduct monthly webinar sessions, about 60 to 90 minutes, on any of the relevant topics, and thereby create a common forum for our community members to interact and learn. It's also to help our fresh graduate, entry and middle level professions to gain fundamental knowledge on the latest skills, technology, subjects, as well as learn from entrepreneurial and young achievers. It's a forum to also an opportunity to platform for the community members to share our learnings. We had about 7 successful sessions so far since its inception. Each session was attended by about 60 to 75 people, maybe 110, 120 plus people so far during the last 7 sessions. It was started by, first one was by Subramania Rao. He talked about the fastest growing career opportunities. Then success mantras of preparing and handling exams and interviews by Gururaj Rao. Then Dr. Shailaja Shastri and Sandeep Shastri talked about the family emotional bonding times of social distancing. We had work from home apprehensions by Dr. B.C. Rao sir. Then our Vice President Pradeep Kumar Panja talked about concerns, opportunities, managing personal finance during the crisis. Then the rights and liabilities during the post-COVID-19 by our Harish Kumar Marpalli. Then the last before this was Embracing Change by Murli Joshi, which was. So, sorry, one second. So this is the Udyoga Deepika team. Quickly, this team is behind all the hard work done so far. Congratulations to all the team members. So with that, let me, introduce Dr. Vishal Rao, today's speaker. Dr. Professor Vishal Rao, ಅವರೊಬ್ಬ ಹೆಮ್ಮೆಯ ಸ್ಥಾನಿಕ. ಅವರು ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಕೇರ್ ಗ್ಲೋಬಲ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸರ್ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ಹೆಡ್ ಅಂಡ್ ನೆಕ್ ಸರ್ಜಿಕಲ್ ಆಂಕಾಲಜಿ ಮತ್ತು ರೊಬ್ಯಾಟಿಕ್ ಸರ್ಜರಿಯ ಮುಖ್ಯಸ್ಥರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅಸೋಸಿಯೇಟ್ ಡೀನ್ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಮತ್ತು ಅಕಾಡೆಮಿಕ್ಸ್ನ ಪ್ರಾದೇಶಿಕ ನಿರ್ದೇಶಕರಾಗಿ ಕೂಡ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ವಿಶಾಲ್ ರಾವ್ ವೈದ್ಯಕೀಯ ಸಾಧನ, ಔಷಧ ತಂತ್ರಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ಸಾಧನ ಸಂಬಂಧ 18 ಪೇಟೆಂಟ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿದ್ದು, ಶ್ರೀಯುತರು ವಿಶ್ವ ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ಅಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೇಂದ್ರ ಮತ್ತು ರಾಜ್ಯ ಸರ್ಕಾರಗಳು ತಂಬಾಕು ನಿಯಂತ್ರಣ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಕೈಗೊಳ್ಳುವ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳಿಗೆ ಅಂತಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಸಲಹೆಗಾರರಾಗಿಯೂ ಕಾರ್ಯನಿರ್ವಹಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. Dr. Vishal has an open entry to Karnataka State Assembly as a medical advisor. Dr. Vishal Rao ಅವರಿಗೆ ರಾಯಲ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಸರ್ಜನ್ಸ್ ಇವರಿಂದ ಗೌರವ FRCS ಪ್ರದಾನ ಮಾಡಲಾಗಿದೆ. 2017ರಲ್ಲಿ ತಂಬಾಕು ನಿಯಂತ್ರಣ ಜಾಗತಿಕ ಶ್ರೇಷ್ಠತೆಗಾಗಿ ಜೋಡಿ ವಿಲ್ಕಿನ್ಫೆಲ್ಡ್ ಪ್ರಶಸ್ತಿಯ ಪುರಸ್ಕೃತರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಅವರು ಟೆಡೆಕ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ಆಗಿರುವ ಇವರಿಗೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಮಹಾನಗರ ಪಾಲಿಕೆ ನೀಡುವ ಕೆಂಪೇಗೌಡ ಪ್ರಶಸ್ತಿ, ವರ್ಷದ ಕನ್ನಡಿಗ ಗೌರವ ಲಭಿಸಿದೆ. 100ಕ್ಕೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಮತ್ತು ಅಂತಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಮಟ್ಟದ ವೈದ್ಯಕೀಯಕ್ಕೆ ಮೀಸಲಾದ ಜರ್ನಲ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇವರ ಬರಹಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಪ್ರಕಟವಾಗಿದೆ. ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತ ಇವರು ಜರ್ನಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ರೆಸಿಷನ್ ಆಂಕಾಲಜಿಯ ಸಂಪಾದಕರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. COVID-19 ರಿಯಲ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಡೇಟಾ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಒದಗಿಸುತ್ತಿರುವ ಅಮೆರಿಕದ ಜಾನ್ ಹಾಪ್ಕಿನ್ಸ್ ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾನಿಲಯದ ಅತಿಥಿ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸಕರಾಗಿರುವ ವಿಶಾಲ್, ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ತಂಬಾಕು ಮತ್ತು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸರ್ ನಿಯಂತ್ರಿತ ಸಂಬಂಧ ರಚಿಸಿರುವ ಉನ್ನತ ಮಟ್ಟದ ಸಮಿತಿಯ ಸದಸ್ಯರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇವರು ಕರೋನಾ ವೈರಸ್ ಚಿಕಿತ್ಸೆಗಾಗಿ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಮಾವನ್ನು ಬಳಸುವ ಭಾರತದ ಮೊದಲ ಕ್ಲಿನಿಕಲ್ ಪ್ರಯೋಗಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಖ್ಯಸ್ಥರು ಕೂಡ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So to me, I had an opportunity to meet Dr. Vishal a couple of times in last 8 days. To me, he's more than a oncologist. He's beyond something. So this is the picture you will see. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಜ್ಞಾನಶಕ್ತಿ ಮಂಟಪದಲ್ಲಿ ಭೇಟಿಯಾಗಿದ್ರು. ಸಾಧಾರಣ ಒಂದೂವರೆ ಗಂಟೆಗಳ ಕಾಲ ನಮ್ಮೊಟ್ಟಿಗಿದ್ದು ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನ ಮತ್ತೆ ಹಾಲ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಬಂದು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೆರೆದಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ 10-15-20 ಜನರಿಗೆ ಕ್ಷಿಪ್ರವಾಗಿ ಕೂಡ ಮಾತನಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಅವರಿಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಸಮಯ ನಮ್ಮೊಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಬಂದಿದ್ರು, ಆದರೆ ಒಂದು ಎಮರ್ಜೆನ್ಸಿ ಆಪರೇಷನ್ ಇದರಿಂದ ಅವರು ಬೇಗ ತೆರಳಬೇಕಾಯಿತು. ಹಾಗೆ as I said, doctor is beyond an oncologist to me. ಅವರ ಸರಳತೆ, ಆವಿಷ್ಕಾರ, ಇನೋವೇಷನ್ ಮತ್ತು ಇಸ್ ಅ ಮೋಟಿವೇಶನ್, ಅವರು ತುಂಬಾ ಪ್ರೇರಣೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಚಿತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಣ್ತಿರುವಂತಹದ್ದು ಅವರು ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಆವಿಷ್ಕಾರ. ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ 1-2 ನಿಮಿಷ ಮಾತಾಡಿ, I know you're all eager to listen to Dr. Vishal. I'll take a couple of minutes talking about one of his innovation before we hand over to Dr. Vishal. ತಮಗೆ ತಿಳಿದಿರುವ ಹಾಗೆ ಗಂಟಲು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸರ್ ರೋಗಿಗಳು ಶಸ್ತ್ರಚಿಕಿತ್ಸೆ ನಂತರ ತಮ್ಮ ಧ್ವನಿ ಪೆಟ್ಟಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ಕಳೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಮಾತನಾಡುವ ಭಾಗ್ಯವನ್ನು ಕಳೆದುಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಕೃತಕ ಧ್ವನಿ ಪೆಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಧ್ವನಿ ಪ್ರಾಸ್ಥೆಸಿಸ್ಗೆ ಸುಮಾರು 25,000ದಿಂದ 1.5 ಲಕ್ಷ ತನಕ ವೆಚ್ಚವಾಗ್ತದೆ ಹಾಗೂ ಪ್ರತಿ 6 ತಿಂಗಳಿಗೊಮ್ಮೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಬದಲಿಸಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ವಿಶಾಲ್ ಅವರು ಓಂ ಎಂಬ ಹೆಸರಿನ ಧ್ವನಿ ಪ್ರಾಸ್ಥೆಸಿಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಅಭಿವೃದ್ಧಿಪಡಿಸಿದ್ದು, ಇದು ಗಂಟಲಿನ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸರ್ ರೋಗಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಶಸ್ತ್ರಚಿಕಿತ್ಸೆಯ ನಂತರ ಮಾತನಾಡಲು ಸಹಾಯ ಮಾಡ್ತದೆ. ಈ ಸಾಧನ 25 ಗ್ರಾಂ ಭಾರವಿದ್ದು ಇದರ ವೆಚ್ಚ ಕೇವಲ 50 ರೂಪಾಯಿ, ₹50 ಓನ್ಲಿ. ಈ ಸಾಧನವನ್ನ ರೋಗಿಯ ಕುತ್ತಿಗೆ ಮೂಲಕ ಅಳವಡಿಸಬಹುದಾಗಿದ್ದು, ಇದು ಆಹಾರ ನಾಳದ ಸಂಪರ್ಕದ ಮೂಲಕ ವೋಕಲ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಅಥವಾ ಧ್ವನಿ ಪೆಟ್ಟಿಗೆಯಾಗಿ ಕಾರ್ಯನಿರ್ವಹಿಸುತ್ತದೆ. What an incredible achievement. ₹50 breaks the silence. There are plenty of articles available about this amazing innovation and a great achievement. There are several TEDx speeches from Dr. Vishal on this. You should listen to them. Dr. Vishal explains it beautifully. It's simple and interesting. ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಪೀಚ್ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸಿಂಗ್ ಧ್ವನಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಉತ್ಪತ್ತಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನುವುದನ್ನ ತುಂಬಾ ಸೊಗಸಾಗಿ ವಿವರಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದನ್ನ ಕ್ವಿಕ್ ಒಂದು ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಹೇಳೋದಾದ್ರೆ, ಇಯರ್ ಡ್ರಮ್ ಟು ಬ್ರೈನ್, ಬ್ರೈನ್ ಅನಾಲಿಸಿಸ್ ದಿ ಕಾಂಟೆಂಟ್, what we hear, sends the signal to dictionary center to fetch the response, and then it sends messages back, makes the vocal cord to vibrate and execute the speech, so on and so forth. Dr. Vishal ಅವರ ಮಾತನಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳೋದಾದ್ರೆ, the device cheats the brain. Instead of vocal cord, it makes the foot pipe to vibrate and hence helps the patients to speak. Doctor says speech is not a privilege, it's a right of every human being. He goes on and saying the poor deserves the best and gives him the best quality. He doesn't want his device to be sold more and more. He wants the tobacco usage to be controlled and hence reduce the case of cancers in the world. We are proud of Dr. Vishal's world's best quality, most disruptive innovation, which transforms our foot pipe to a voice box and simply makes you speak again. So, according to me, Dr. Vishal is just not a famous oncologist. He is a down-to-earth person, an innovator, a motivator to the younger generation, and a great philosopher. Happy to have you today with us, Dr. Vishal, and over to you. Stage is yours.
Thank you, Murli. You've been very generous and kind in your words. So I'm going to just share my screen now.
Sure.
And see if I can share the presentation. You'll please keep the time so that I can keep a track of.
Yeah, you can share.
So that I don't bore people beyond the permissible time. Here I am. So this is. There's something it's asking me in settings. Once again.
Sure. Shrishant, he's a co-host, right?
Yes, he is the co-host. Okay. I think he left.
So give us a couple of minutes. I think there's some technical issues doctor facing, so he'll be right back.
Sorry, I just lost myself, I think because of some technical issue. Murli, you'll have to add me as a co-host so that I can.
Yeah, you are.
Okay.
Okay, not.
I think there was some issue with my desktop sharing. Okay, now I'm back on track. Great.
Okay.
Can you all see the screen now?
Yes, Vishal.
Thank you. Sorry for this glitch. So without much ado, I think I'll quickly get on to the presentation. Just want to keep my timer on so that I don't lose track of time. Sorry. So first of all, very good evening to all of you here. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೆ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು. ಇವತ್ತು ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆನೆ ನಾವು ಸುಬ್ರಹ್ಮಣ್ಯ ಮಂದಿರಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದ ತಗೊಂಡು ಈ ಕೆಲಸನ ಕಾರ್ಯವನ್ನು ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಮುರಳಿ ಅವರು ಎಷ್ಟು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ವಿವರವಾಗಿ, I think he has been too generous in his introduction to me. So I would like to again thank the Akhil Bharatiya Brahman Samstha for giving me this opportunity and helping me share these few minutes of knowledge sharing. I'm looking forward to all the questions and discussions that we can do on this. ಸೊ ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಜಗತ್ತಲ್ಲಿ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳಿ ಬೋರ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಸೊ ನನ್ನ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಪುನಃ ಜನರನ್ನು ಬೋರ್ ಮಾಡುವ ಉದ್ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಬಂದದಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯಾವ್ಯಾವ ಪರ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟಿವ್ಸ್ ಗಳಿಂದ ನಾವು ಇದನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ ಇದನ್ನು ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಸೊ ನನ್ನ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಇದು HCG ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸರ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ಲಿ ಲಿಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ ಅಂಡ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಅಟ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ 26 across the world. And today I am here to talk to you. This is an op-ed I had written a few days back for the Daily Guardian. And ಇದರದ್ದು ಇನ್ಸ್ಪಿರೇಷನ್ ನನಗೆ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದು ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ವಾರ್ ಸಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಸಿ ಫಾರ್ ಚೈನಾ ಆರ್ ಸಿ ಫಾರ್ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಹೇಳಿ. ದಿಸ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ನ್ಯೂ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ವಾರ್ ವಿಚ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ವಾರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ we are fighting this world war not with soldiers but by doctors. This is a world war that is being fought not with guns but with sanitizers, and this is a world war that is being fought by the healthcare. Not on one side we are having social distancing, not by close contact, but yet the healthcare team is maintaining its healing touch. So in a very, very interesting perspective, this World War C is the most interesting war in the last 100 years that the world has waged, and it has brought the world to a standstill. If you look at the weight of this virus put together in the world today, the world is at a few crore cases. If you put all these viruses weight together, you cannot imagine that the entire virus put together across the world weighs 1 gram. So think of it, 1 gram of this virus has brought this world to a standstill. 1 gram, that's all it took. So it's more powerful than a nuclear weapon. So what has been used against the world is a very, very powerful nuclear weapon which has been unleashed against the world ಈ ಸಮಯಕ್ಕೆ. ಇವಾಗ ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಓವರ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಇದು ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ, ಇದು ಜನವರಿಯಿಂದ ಶುರು ಆಗಿದ್ದದ್ದು ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ಇಡೀ ಜಗತ್ತಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಮಹಾಮಾರಿ ಒಂದು ತುಂಬಾ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಆತಂಕ ತಂದು ಬಂದಿದೆ ಪೂರ್ತಿ ಜಗತ್ತಿಗೆ. ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ನಂಬರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಅಟ್ ಮಿಲಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದಿಸ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಇಸ್ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ರೈಸಿಂಗ್ ಬೈ ದ ಡೇ. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಇದನ್ನು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಈ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆಗಳನ್ನು ನೋಡುವಾಗ ಭಾರತ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆಗಳು ಪ್ರತಿದಿನ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಉಂಟು. ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರತಿದಿನ ನಮಗೆ 26,500 ಕೇಸಸ್ಗಳು ಕಂಡು ಬರ್ತಾ ಉಂಟು. ಅದು ಕೂಡ ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ. ಅಷ್ಟು ನಾವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ನಾವು ಇದನ್ನು ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಇದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಈಗ ನಾನು ಏನ್ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಕೊಡ್ಬೋದು, ಇದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಖ್ಯೆ ನೋಡಿದರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಲ್ಲಿ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಅಟ್ ಅಬೌಟ್ 31,000 and almost 40% of them have recovered, and there have been about 3% deaths that have happened, and the same number reflects in India, and worldwide it has crossed about 1.2 crores. So with these numbers there are some things that I wanted to share with the entire group that is participating here with me. India is now racing in time to be the global number one, and we will be. In fact, if you get the true numbers right, you will be number one in no time. While the recovery rates are very good, there has been some concerns over the deaths that have also happened. So the recovery rates, if you see, are in the green. And if you see over time, the recovery rates are slowly improving. At the same time, if you see, the death rates have plateaued, but there are deaths. And this is a big concern that we are all trying to figure out who among this group of people are the ones who are dying. ಯಾರು ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಯ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಅವರನ್ನು ಹೇಗೆ ಮೊದಲೇ ನಾವು ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿಬಹುದು ಹೇಳುವ ಕೆಲವು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳು ನಮ್ಮ ಮೆಡಿಕಲ್ ಫ್ರೆಟರ್ನಿಟಿಯ ಎದುರಿಗೆ ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ಉಂಟು. ಸೊ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಇದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡುವ ಮೊದಲು ಸುಮಾರು ಮಾರ್ಚ್ ರಂದು ನಾವು ಒಂದು ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಕನ್ಸಲ್ಟೇಟಿವ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಸೊ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಈ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಕನ್ಸಲ್ಟೇಟಿವ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ was actually started by us to create an important plan about the three important 3T principles. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು 3T ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ: ಟ್ರೇಸಿಂಗ್, ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಟ್ರೀಟಿಂಗ್ ದೆಮ್. ಇದು ಮೂರು became the foundation stone of the coronavirus fight. ಸೊ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಫಾರ್ಮರ್ ಚೀಫ್ ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಆದಂತ ಶ್ರೀ ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ MN ವೆಂಕಟಾಚಲಯ್ಯ ಅವರು ಸುಮಾರು ಮಾರ್ಚ್ 20ರಂದು ನಾನು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಮಾತನಾಡುವಾಗ ಅವ್ರು ನನಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ವಿಶಾಲ್, ಇದು ನಿನ್ನ ನೇತೃತ್ವದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನು ಶುರು ಮಾಡು, ಅಂಡ್ ಬೇರೆ ಬೇರೆ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರಗಳಿಂದ ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವರನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡು ಬಂದು bring them together. So I brought in ministers, I brought in MPs, we brought in Supreme Court lawyers, we brought in doctors, we brought in artists, we brought in editors from various journals, and we brought this together and formed a COVID consultative group, which was giving some amount of suggestions to the chief minister, to the health minister of Karnataka, and creating a structured plan and helping them. So the first step we took in this was we gave them a donation of about 5,000 test kits, which costed about 70 lakhs, which we made as a donation to the chief minister's office to initiate rapid testing. ಅದಲ್ಲದೆ ನಾವೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ, we created a lot of awareness around this, and I'll talk each step of this on what we did. But the most important thing was, the goal of this COVID consultative group was non-bureaucratic, to try and look at what we can do within our own capacity to make a difference. And this had people from national, international expertise, WHO and various other things, who came together to guide us. Now slowly, what we proposed to the government at that time was a 21-day challenge. ಆವಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಹಾನರಬಲ್ ಪ್ರೈಮ್ ಮಿನಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಅವರು ಒಂದು ಅನೌನ್ಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಈ ಲಾಕ್ಡೌನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ. ಸೊ ಆ 3 ವಾರ ಲಾಕ್ಡೌನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ರಾಜ್ಯದಿಂದ, ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದಿಂದ ನಾವು ಏನೇನು ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ಹೇಳಿ ನಾವು ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಆಗಿ ವಿವರವಾಗಿ 3 ವಾರಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅದನ್ನು 21 ದಿನಾನು 3 ವಾರಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಡಿವೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊದಲನೇ ವಾರ ನಾವು ಏನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೇವೆ, ತಯಾರಿ ಆಗುವ ವಾರ. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದ ವೀಕ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ರಿಪರೇಷನ್, wherein we get prepared with detection kits, personal protection equipment. We get prepared with manufacturing of medications which are required and things like that. Week 2, we said that we'll have to build a China wall between the positive and the negative, and that's the only way we win this war. So the only way we can win this war is by building the China wall between the positive people and negative. And how do you do that? You do that by aggressive testing. Now, we emphasized here that this particular thing is a military operation. It's not a healthcare operation. It should be run like a military operation. And one of the very important things which I emphasized there was, ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗ್ಲಿ, ಇಂಥ ಹಲವಾರು ದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗ್ಲಿ, ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ಇದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ಡ್ನೆಸ್ ತುಂಬಾ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇತ್ತು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮೂಲ ಕಾರಣ ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ನಾನು ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಉದಾಹರಣೆ ಕೊಡೋದು, ಈಗ ನನಗೆ ಯಾರಾದ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ಅಟ್ಯಾಕ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ, ನನಗೆ ಕರಾಟೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ನನ್ನ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಅನ್ನು ಡಿಫೆಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಬಟ್ ಅದೇ ನನಗೆ ಇದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಇಲ್ಲದಿದ್ರೆ, ಕರಾಟೆ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ನಾನು ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋಲಿ ನೋಡಿ ಅವನು ಎದುರಲ್ಲಿರುವಾಗ ಅಟ್ಯಾಕ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಆಗುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂದರ್ಭ ಅದೇ ಆದದ್ದು. ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂದರ್ಭ ಆದ ಇದರ ಮೂಲ ಕಾರಣ ಇದ್ದದ್ದು ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ಡ್ನೆಸ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಈಗ ಕೇರಳ ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟು ವೆಲ್ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ಡ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಮೊದಲು ನಿಫಾ ಬಂದಿತ್ತು, ಅದರ ಮೊದಲು ಬೇರೆ ತರದ ಸೋಂಕುಗಳು ಬಂದಿತ್ತು. ಆ ಕಾರಣದಿಂದಾಗಿ ಅವ್ರ ತಯಾರಿ ನಮ್ಮಿಂದ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮೆಚ್ಚುವ ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇತ್ತು. ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಡಿಸಾಸ್ಟರ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಡ್ರಿಲ್ಸ್ ಇರುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಪೊಲೀಸಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಮಿಲಿಟರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಕೇರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಿಲ್ ಗೇಟ್ಸ್ ಅವರು ಸುಮಾರು 5 ವರ್ಷ ಮೊದಲೇ ಒಂದು ಟೆಡ್ ಟಾಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ದಟ್ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ವಾರ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಅ ನ್ಯೂಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ವಾರ್, ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಅ ವೈರಸ್ ವಾರ್ ಹೇಳಿ, ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಅ ಜರ್ಮ್ ವಾರ್ ಹೇಳಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. And truly, we did not have any preparedness. Imagine advanced countries like USA did not have preparation for it. So that is the lesson to be learned from this, that healthcare cannot be neglected anymore. Anyway, on the week 2nd, we said we have to prepare a military operation, and I emphasized there that ಈ ಒಂದು ಹೋರಾಟವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಗೆಲ್ಲುವಂಥದ್ದು, ಇದನ್ನು ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಗೆಲ್ಲುವಂಥದ್ದು ಅಲ್ಲವೇ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಯನ್ನು ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ರಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದರ ಅರ್ಥ ನಾವು ಸೋಲುವುದು ಗ್ಯಾರಂಟಿ ಹೇಳಿ. ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಇದನ್ನು ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗಿ ಹಲವಾರು ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತಿದ್ದೆ ದಟ್ ಈ ಒಂದು ಹೋರಾಟವನ್ನು ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ವಿನ್ ದಿಸ್ ವಾರ್ ಅಟ್ ಹೋಮ್. ಇಟ್ ಕೆನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಒನ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್. If you are going to invest on ventilators, we are going to lose this war because most people who go into the ventilator will not come out. So let us work hard to prevent people from going into a ventilator. Let us keep them at home early. We give them a few suggestions. In the last week, what I said was that we should work hard to see that when we open the lockdown, the hospitals are ready so that the few small groups who require to be saved, we can put our full attention and focus on them. So what is it that we know about this particular virus? We know that it is dangerously infectious. We know it is very good at hiding. Now, dangerously infectious, this virus can infect up to 6 to 7 people at a time. We know that the first techie who entered Bangalore met with 2,000 people before he got himself diagnosed positive. Second thing we know is now lockdown, now hiding, this virus is better than us in hiding. It can remain in surfaces for more than 7 to 8 days, and also it can remain aerosol for a few hours, and it can remain in the air. So the environment cleansing is very important. The third thing what we know about this is it has a death rate which is slightly higher. ನಾವು ಯಾಕೆ ನಾನು ಅಗೇನ್ ಪುನಃ ಇದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಆತಂಕ ಹಿಡಿಸಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳೋದಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಇದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಮಗೆ ಇದು ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾಕೆ ನಾವು ಮರ್ಯಾದೆ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಹೇಳಿ ಈ ವೈರಸ್ಗೆ? ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಅ ಹೈ ಡೆತ್ ರೇಟ್, ವಿಚ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದ ಸ್ಪ್ಯಾನಿಷ್ ಫ್ಲೂ ದಟ್ ಹಿಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಇನ್ 1918, ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ 100 ವರ್ಷ ಮೊದಲು, ಯಾವಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಸೋಷಿಯಲ್ ನಾರ್ಮ್ ಇಂಟರಾಕ್ಷನ್ ವಾಸ್ ವೆರಿ ವೆರಿ ಮಿನಿಮಲ್. 100 ವರ್ಷ ಮೊದಲು 1918 ನಲ್ಲಿ 2 ಲಕ್ಷ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ 200 ಲಕ್ಷ ಜನರನ್ನದು ಕೊಂದಿತ್ತು. ಆವಾಗ ಅದರ ಕ್ರೂಡ್ ಫೆಟಾಲಿಟಿ ರೇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ 2.2. The crude fatality rate of the coronavirus is at 3.75. So naturally it has a high death rate. We cannot take it lightly. Now that percentage is small, but when it takes it to a population of 120 billion, that 3% is a very large number. We cannot afford to have that. Similarly, it has a high complication rates. Andre ಸೋಂಕಿನಿಂದ ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆದದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ 26 ಜನ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ 1ರಲ್ಲಿ 4 ಜನ ICU ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಅವರು ಜೀವನ ಉಳಿಸಬಹುದು, ಬಟ್ ಅವರು ICU ಹೋಗುವಂತ ಸಂದರ್ಭ ಬರಬಹುದು. ಸೊ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುವಂತ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಆಗುವಂತ ವಿಷಯಗಳು. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂಡ ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ, ಹೌ ಕಂಟೇಜಿಯಸ್ ದ ವೈರಸ್. ನಾವು ವೆನ್ ಯು ಸಿ ದ ಕಂಟೇಜಿಯಸ್ ವೈರಸಸ್, ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸೆವೆರಲ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಮೀಸಲ್ಸ್, ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಪಾಕ್ಸ್, ಪೋಲಿಯೋ, ಮಮ್ಸ್. Then why is it that we are worrying so much about the coronavirus, which is having a slightly less contagion value? ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು R0 ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. R0 ಹೇಳಿದರೆ, when a virus is infected, it can infect about 2 to 2.5 people on an average. ಒಬ್ನು 2.5 ಜನಗೆ ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಬಟ್ ಅದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಹೊತ್ತಲ್ಲಿ, ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಇನ್ 1 minute, ಇಟ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಬಿ ಇನ್ 1 hour. ನಾನು ಮೊದಲು ಹೇಳಿದಂಗೆ ದ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಟೆಕ್ಯೂ ಎಂಟರ್ಡ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್ ಮೆಟ್ ವಿತ್ 2,000 people before he got diagnosed. So the true number that we are calculating today may be a wrong number, which means that this number rises logarithmically. For example, if you are assuming that Karnataka has 5,000 cases, you can safely multiply it into 10 or 100 based on the social norms of that area, and that would be the true number. So today what we are estimated as a number is a much lower number, and only after 2 weeks will you come to know the real number if you test aggressively. Then we extended this thing from 3T to 5T principle. Yakante helidre, the one of the most important thing that was getting missed out is teamwork. Now this is the time I often tell on a lighter note, it looked like humanity was the virus and corona was the vaccine. Yakante helidre, ನಮಗೆ ಈ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ, ಈ ಲಾಕ್ಡೌನ್ ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟೆಲ್ಲ ತೊಂದರೆಗಳು ಗೊತ್ತಾಯ್ತು. ಸೋಷಿಯಲಿಸಂ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿದೆವು, ಕಮ್ಯುನಲಿಸಂ ಆಗೋಯ್ತು, ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲಿಸಂ ಬಂತು, ಅಂಡ್ ಕರಪ್ಷನಿಸಂ ನೋಡಿದೆವು. So there were so many facets to this entire thing before humanism came forward. It made us look in some strange way as though humanity was the virus, and this corona became the vaccine to try and show us that we were all going wrong all these years. And that is what it has brought to light. So the countries that have really made progress have made progress through cohesive teamwork idrali. So some of the most important principles in this area is testing, isolating, finding and quarantining. I'm again not going to go into the details of it, but it's very important for us to know that in the slightest symptoms, please get yourself tested. ನಾನು ಒಂದು ಪ್ರತಿ 3 ದಿನಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ನಾನು ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀನಿ. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ we are staying in a hospital environment, I come back home, so I need to keep myself safe. But it's very very important that we don't get scared about this virus, that we maintain and keep picking it up early, because the earlier you pick it up. ನಾವು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾಕೆ ಪುನಃ ಇಷ್ಟು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಇವತ್ತು ನನಗೆ ಸಂಜೆ ಒಂದು ಫೋನ್ ಬಂತು ನಮ್ಮ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಇಂದಾನೆ. ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಸರ್ ನನಗೆ ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ, ನನ್ನ ಮನೆಯವರಿಗೆ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾ ಹೇಳಿ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು. ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಇವತ್ತೇ ಮಾಡಿಸಿಬಿಡಿ ಹೇಳಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾರಣ ಏನು, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾರಣ ನಾನು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕತೆ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ. 2 ದಿನ ಮೊದಲು ನನ್ನೊಬ್ರು ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರು, ಅವರಿಗೆ ಜ್ವರ ಬಂದಿತ್ತು. ಜ್ವರ ಬಂದಾಗ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆ ಕಳಿಸಬೇಕಾಯ್ತು. ಬಟ್ ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಸರ್ ಅವ್ರ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರಕ್ಕೆ ಇನ್ನು 2 ದಿನ ತಗೊಳುತ್ತೆ, ಅಷ್ಟರವರೆಗೆ ನಾವು ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ತೀನಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಬಟ್ ನಾನು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ಸರ್ ಇವ್ರದ್ದು ಜ್ವರ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಜ್ವರ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಬೇರೆ ಜ್ವರ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಉಂಟು. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಇದ್ದು ಜ್ವರದೊಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಕೆಮ್ಮ ಇದ್ದೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಇದು ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಸಿಗ್ನೇಚರ್. ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಪೀಪಲ್ ವಿತ್ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಫೀವರ್ ವಿತ್ ಕಾಫ್. ಸೊ ಐ ಟೋಲ್ಡ್ ದೆಮ್ ವೆರಿ ಕಾನ್ಫಿಡೆಂಟ್ಲಿ, ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಕೋವಿಡ್, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಮಿಸ್ಟೇಕ್ ದಿಸ್. ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಾವು ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಕೋವಿಡ್ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ತೇವೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಈಗ ಇವರನ್ನು ಕೋವಿಡ್ ವಾರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಇವರಿಗೆ ಜ್ವರ ಬಂದು ಇವರು ಕೋವಿಡ್ ಇಂದ ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ಆಗ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಅವರಿಗೆ ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವರನ್ನು ಹೋಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಸಿ 2 ದಿನ ತಗೊಂಡು ಆ ರಿಪೋರ್ಟ್ ಬರಕ್ಕೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಟ್ರ್ಯಾಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು 1.5 ದಿನದಲ್ಲಿ ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಬಟ್ ಆದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ಆ 2 ದಿನ ವೇಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗೋಯ್ತು. ಆ ಕಾರಣದಿಂದಾಗಿ ನಾನು ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇನೆ, ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅದನ್ನು, ದಟ್ ತಕ್ಷಣವಾಗಿ ಸಂಶಯ ಇದ್ರೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಸಿ. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ತಿಗೆ ಆಗುವ ಸಾವುಗಳ ಕಾರಣ, ದ ಡೆತ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ಆರ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪನಿಂಗ್ ಟುಡೇ ಇಸ್ ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಲೇಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಲೆಟಿಂಗ್ ದ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ವರ್ಸನ್. ಸೊ ಯೂಶುವಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಈ ವೈರಸ್ ನಮ್ಮ ಮೂಗಿಂದ ಒಳಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಮೂಗಿಂದ ಗಂಟ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಗಂಟ್ಲಿಂದ ಶ್ವಾಸಕೋಶಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇಟ್ ಗೋಸ್ ಟು ದ ಲಂಗ್ಸ್, ಅಂಡ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಲಂಗ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಎಂಟರ್ಸ್ ದ ಬ್ಲಡ್. After it enters the blood, which is by the 5th to 7th day, then it produces fever. So you typically get fever by 8th day. ಈಗ 8ನೇ ದಿನ ಜ್ವರ ಬರುವವರೆಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ವರ್ಸನ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ನಾವು ಈಗ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಬರಕ್ಕೆ 3 ದಿನ ತಗೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ. ಈ 3 ದಿನ ಒಳಗೆ ನೀವು ಅದು ಮಿಸ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಜ್ವರ ಬಂದು ವರ್ಸನಿಂಗ್ ಆಗುವ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ಬರ್ಬೋದು. ಈಗ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಉಂಟು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಈ ಸಾವುಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರೋರಲ್ಲಿ, ಅವರಿಗೆ ಮೊದಲು ಕೆಮ್ಮ ನೆಗಡಿ ಬಂತು, ಕೆಮ್ಮ ಬಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ಜ್ವರ ಬಂತು, ಜ್ವರ ಬಂದ ಮೇಲೆ ಅವ್ರು ಏನೋ ಔಷಧ ತಗೊಂಡು 2 ದಿನ ವೇಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ಹೇಳಿ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ. ಅದಾಗಲಿಲ್ಲದ ಕಾರಣ ಉಸಿರಾಡ ಕಷ್ಟ ಬರುವಾಗ ಅವರು ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಕಳಿಸಿದ್ರು. ಆವಾಗ ಇನ್ನೂ 2 ರಿಂದ 3 ದಿನ ತಗೊಂಡಿತ್ತು. ಅಷ್ಟವರೆಗೆ ಅವರಿಗೆ ICU ಹೋಗುವ ಸಂದರ್ಭ ಬಂತು. ಸೊ ಈ ಒಂದು ಟ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಅನ್ನು ರಿವರ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ನಮಗೆ ಆದಷ್ಟು ಬೇಗ ಇದನ್ನು ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿಯಷ್ಟು ನಾವು ಸೇಫ್ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. ಆವಾಗ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಚಿಕಿತ್ಸೆ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿ ನಾವು ಅದನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನವನ್ನು ಉಳಿಸಬಹುದು. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮುಖ್ಯ ವಿಷಯ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, several people have done various measures across the world. ಈಗ South Korea government ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ, one of the good models, they did very aggressive testing, called for immediate lockdowns. They disinfected currencies, notes, halls, malls, everything were disinfected. Public awareness they did aggressively, and they did strict laws. So there are various models, and I'm again not going to describe all this in detail. But what is important is when India started testing, if you see, we started testing at about 177 per million. When world over people started testing, they started testing at about 15,000 per million. So the crucial time that we had during the lockdown, we missed because we were not ready. And that is because it is not easy to be ready. You have to prepare PCR machines. You had to actually build BSL-2 facilities. Then you had to have collection centers. Then you had to bring raw materials. You had to bring PPEs. It took us more than 3 weeks to get prepared. It took us 3 months nearly to get prepared for this virus. And that time was very crucial. During that time, the economy suffered a lot. So we were not able to sustain the economy beyond this particular time. Now, this is easier said than done. ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಬಹುದು ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ, ಅದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಿತ್ತು, ಇದು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಿತ್ತು ಸರ್ಕಾರ. ಬಟ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಕಷ್ಟ ಇತ್ತು. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಜವಾದ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದನ್ನು ಪುಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಇಂದ, ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಡ್ಯೂರಿಂಗ್ ಲಾಕ್ಡೌನ್, ತುಂಬಾ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗೋಯ್ತು. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಬಾರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ವಿಷಯ ನಿಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೆ ತಿಳಿಯುವಂಥದ್ದು ಏನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಈ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಸೋಂಕು ಯುವಕರಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹರಡುದು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಹೈಯೆಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಏಜ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಆಫ್ 20 to 49. ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್. ಬಟ್ it is most dangerous in the age group of 60 plus. So what you need to do is, especially the younger generations that are going out to run the economy, need to protect the elderly. So this is what I call reverse quarantine. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹಿರಿಯರನ್ನು ಉಳಿಸಬೇಕು. ಅದಲ್ಲದೆ ಅಸಾಂಕ್ರಾಮಿಕ ರೋಗಗಳು, which are non-communicable diseases like diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, cancer, or any other non-communicable diseases, you need to protect those people meticulously. ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ ನನಗೊಂದು ವಾರ ಮೊದಲು ಒಂದು ಪೇಷಂಟ್ ಬಂದ್ರು, ಶುಗರ್ ಇದ್ದು ಕಾಯಿಲೆ ಇತ್ತು, ಅದರೊಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸರ್ ಇತ್ತು. ಶುಗರ್ ಅನ್ನು ಅವ್ರು ನೆಗ್ಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಶುಗರ್ ಅವ್ರದ್ದು 300ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿತ್ತು, HbA1c ಅವ್ರದ್ದು 11ರಲ್ಲಿತ್ತು. ಈಗ ನಾನು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದೆ, ಅಲ್ರಿ ನೀವು ಯಾಕೆ ಇದನ್ನು ಶುಗರ್ ಅನ್ನು ಇಷ್ಟು ನೆಗ್ಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀರಿ ಹೇಳಿದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ನನಗೆ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಸೋಂಕು ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಚಿಂತೆ ಇತ್ತು ಹೇಳಿ. ಸೊ ಇಂಥ ವಿಷಯಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ನಾವು ಅಸಾಂಕ್ರಾಮಿಕ ರೋಗಗಳನ್ನು ನೆಗ್ಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಆ ಒಂದು ನೆಗ್ಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ಕಾರಣ ನಮಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆಗಳು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ಬಹುದು ಹೇಳುವ ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯ ಹೇಳಕ್ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತಿದ್ದೆ. ಈ ಒಂದು ಕೊರೋನಾ ಸೋಂಕು ಅಸಾಂಕ್ರಾಮಿಕ ರೋಗಗಳನ್ನು ಜಾಸ್ತಿಯಾಗಿ ಕೊಲ್ತಾ ಉಂಟು. ಅದರಿಂದ ಕಾರಣ ಒಂದು ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುವಂತ ವಿಷಯ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ನಿಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರಿಗಾದ್ರೆ ಅಸಾಂಕ್ರಾಮಿಕ ರೋಗಗಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಡಯಾಬಿಟೀಸು, ಹೈಪರ್ ಟೆನ್ಷನ್, ಶುಗರು, ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಡಿಸೀಸ್, ಲಂಗ್ ಡಿಸೀಸ್, COPD, ಅಸ್ತಮಾಸ್, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಕೇರ್ ಆಫ್ ಯುವರ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್. ಡಬ್ಲಿ ಶ್ಯೂರ್, ಡೂ 2 times ಕೇರ್ಫುಲ್. ಯಾಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ತೊಂದರೆ ಆಗುವುದು ಇದರಿಂದ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಸೋಂಕಿಂದ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಕೊರೋನಾ ಸೋಂಕಿಂದ ನೀವು ಹೊರಗೆ ಬರ್ತೀರಿ, ಬಟ್ ಇದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹಾನಿ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ತೊಂದರೆ ಬರ್ಬೋದು. ನಾನು ಮೊದಲು ಹೇಳಿದಂಗೆ ಇದರ ರಿಕವರಿ ರೇಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಗುಡ್, ಬಟ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗುಡ್ ಇನಫ್ ಫಾರ್ ಅಸ್ ಟು ನೆಗ್ಲೆಕ್ಟ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್. ಸೊ ಅರ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಟೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮಾತು ನಾನು ಇವತ್ತು ಬೆಳಗಿನ ನಮ್ಮ ಸಭೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಕೂತಿರುವಾಗ ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ಈಗ ನಾವು DRDO ಅವರೊಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಕೆಲವು ಸಂಶೋಧನೆಗಳನ್ನು ನಡೆಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ. ಆ ಉದ್ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ನಡೆಸುವಾಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಸೀನಿಯರ್ ಸೈಂಟಿಸ್ಟ್ ಗಳ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ಪೇಪರ್ ಅನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆವು. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ಹಲವಾರು ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಹಿಂದೆನೆ ಕೊರೋನಾ ವೈರಸ್ ಸೋಂಕು ನಮ್ಮ ಬೀದಿ ನಾಯಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹಸುಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಕಂಡು ಬಂದಿತ್ತು. ಈಗ ಈ ಬೀದಿ ನಾಯಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಹಸುಗಳಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಈ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಸೋಂಕಿನ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಭಾವ, ಅದರ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರು ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ ಟು ದ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ ಕೊರೋನಾ ವೈರಸ್. ಅಂಡ್ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಗೇಟ್, ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಗೇಟ್ ಎಂಟ್ರಿ ಇಸ್ ಥ್ರೂ ರಿಸೆಪ್ಟರ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಏಸ್ ರಿಸೆಪ್ಟರ್. ಆ ಗೇಟ್ ಕೂಡ ನಮ್ಮ ಬೀದಿ ನಾಯಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮನುಷ್ಯರಲ್ಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಕಂಡು ಬರುತ್ತದೆ. ಆ ಕಾರಣದಿಂದಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಈ ಒಂದು ಪೇಪರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಏನು ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಜರ್ನಲ್ ಸಬ್ಮಿಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ, ಅದರ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದ ವಿಷಯಗಳು ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನು ನಾವು ಹೈಲೈಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಈ ಬೀದಿ ನಾಯಿಗಳು ಸುಮಾರು 3.5 ಕೋಟಿ ಬೀದಿ ನಾಯಿಗಳಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ 15 ಕೋಟಿ ಹಸುಗಳಿದ್ದಾವೆ. ಇವರು ಹೊರಗಿದ್ದ ಕಾರಣ ನಮಗೆ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಒಂದ್ ತರದ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೋಜರ್ ಆಗೋಗಿದೆ. ಅದರಿಂದ ಕಾರಣ ನಮ್ಮ ಇಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಹೇಳಿ, ಆ ಕಾರಣದಿಂದಾಗಿ ಗಾಬರಿ ಪಟ್ಟು ಆತಂಕ ಪಡುವಂತದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ನಮಗೆ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಪಾರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಇಮ್ಯುನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಆಗೋಗಿದೆ ಹೇಳಿ. ಸೊ ಇದೊಂದು ಮಾತು ನಮಗೆ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದಂತ ವಿಷಯಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಕೆಲವರು ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಆತಂಕ ಪಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ದಟ್ ನಾಯಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಹರಡ್ಬೋದು, ನಾಯಿಗಳಿಂದ ದೂರ ಇಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ನಾಯಿಗಳನ್ನು ಕೆಲವರು ಕೂಡ ಈ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಲ್ಲಕ್ಕೂ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಅಂತ. ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಈ ಪೇಪರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕಿದ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಏನಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ದಟ್ ನಾಯಿಗಳು ಮತ್ತೆ ಹಸುಗಳು ನಮಗೆ ರಕ್ಷಣೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಉಂಟು, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಅದನ್ನು ತೊಂದರೆ ಕೊಡಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಡಿ. ಇನ್ಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ದ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಜಿ ಮೇ ಕಮ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದ ಡಾಗ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಅನಿಮಲ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಹೇಳಿ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ನಾನು ಮೊದಲು ಹೇಳಿದಂಗೆ ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯೋವ್ಯಾಸ್ಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಡಿಸೀಸ್, ಡಯಾಬಿಟೀಸ್, COPD, ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸರ್ ಇದ್ರೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಜಾಗ್ರತೆ ತಗೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಅದಲ್ಲದೆ ತಂಬಾಕು, ಶೆರೆ, ಬೇರೆ ತರದ ತೊಂದರೆಗಳಿಂದ ಜಾಗ್ರತೆವಾಗಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡಿ. ಎಸ್ಪೆಷಲಿ ಒಬೆಸಿಟಿ ಅಂತ ತೊಂದರೆಗಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಫ್ರೂಟ್ಸ್ ಇಂಟೇಕ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಡೈಲಿ ಫುಡ್ ಇಂಟೇಕ್ ಅನ್ನು ಇಂಪ್ರೂವ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ನಮಗೆ ನಾನ್ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಬಲ್ ಡಿಸೀಸ್ ಇಂದ ಪ್ರಿವೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಹೇಳಿ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದ ವಿಷಯ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಇದನ್ನು ನಾನು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬಂದು ಆಪೇಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೀತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ, ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ದ ಪ್ಯಾಂಡಮಿಕ್ CEO. ಇದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಯಾಕೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಗಮನ ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಈ ಒಂದು 3 ತಿಂಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾದ ವಿಷಯಗಳು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ದಿಸ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಪ್ಯಾಂಡಮಿಕ್ ವಿಲ್ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟ್ ಸೈಕಲಾಜಿಕಲ್ ಇಂಪ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್, ಬಿಹೇವಿಯರಲ್ ಇಂಪ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ economic impact. The psychological impact is we are going to go through depressions, frustration, anxiety. We are going to go through a lot of difficulties, and this is going to create increased amount of suicides. It is going to create increased amount of agitation, domestic violence. A lot of wrong things are going to happen. That is why it is very very important for us to take cognizance of it. So I have been encouraging and telling the Ministry of Health to create platforms for psychological evaluation. So there are a lot of platforms for psychological evaluation, for psychological support, counseling, which we should not hesitate to take. So I have been talking to my psychologist very often. I keep telling my family, see, the 3 months I have not taken one day break. Every day we have been working day and night, operating, continuing our work, continuing our research. We have been more productive than before. So there has been tremendous psychological stress on me because I'm staying alone. I have quarantined myself in a separate room. I'm not interacting much with my family. So it has led tremendous psychological stress on my overall life, and I'm human. I'm bound to face tremendous stress. So the importance in this is that I often emphasize that IQ, EQ, SQ, ನಮ್ಮ intelligent quotient at this point may not be good enough. You have to have a good EQ, emotional quotient. And to build a good EQ, you'll have to have a good spiritual quotient. So it is very important at this time that we balance our stress and psychology very effectively and ask for help. So I've been talking to my psychologist, requesting her, expressing to them, what do you think? How should I be dealing with my stress? What are the things I can do? I talk to my peers, we exchange, but it's very important to be psychologically calm because you are going to face difficult situations during these 3 months. And I propose that this is going to happen for this whole year. So this is going to be difficult. The second is the behavioral aspect. You know, we have now moved towards social distancing norm. We are more distant from people. So there is going to be a lot of behavioral changes. We're going to be wearing our masks. So this is going to change. We are going to more and more Zoom meetings. We are not going to meet each other in person. So there is going to be a lot of new behavioral changes Corona will bring about. And thirdly, economic impact. ನಾನು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಮಂತ್ ಹಾರ್ವರ್ಡ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ರಿವ್ಯೂ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಮ IIMB ಹಲವಾರು ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದೆ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಓವರ್ ಆನ್ ಇಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ರಿಲೇಟೆಡ್ issues, and not as a more as a doctor to understand the perspectives of what economy stores for us. One thing that I can fairly conclude is that last month was the month of salary cuts. This month is the month of job cuts. Next month is going to be the month of pockets cut. We will have crimes increasing, whether it is cyber crime, whether it is going to be burglaries. This is going to increase now because there is going to be tremendous stress on the educated lot, and I believe the educated lot are more dangerous than the uneducated lot. They are going to go into crime. So we have to somewhere renovate. So today, one of the meetings that we had was, I was talking to our IT/BT minister, discussing how can we reduce these kind of crimes happening and what can we do to work on employment. And we've created a forum called Uncorporated, where we are actually talking about how can we help entrepreneurship at this time, how can we help startups, how can we create a nurturing environment for people who have lost their jobs so that we can rekindle efforts, give them reorientation in the area of jobs. So these are going to be bigger problems that we are going to face in the next coming months. I don't have all the solutions, but I can tell you that I know that we need to address these three headings in an effective, positive way. Otherwise, we are going to create a bigger problem in the next coming quarter. And then there are a lot of other things that I don't intend to share this in detail with you, but what everybody needs to have a plan, and I can share this slide deck with Murli so that you all can use this, is also have a plan, because more and more people are going to be testing positive in their offices. So I've asked HRs of several offices. I've created documents which I'll again share with Murli. So if you all, any of you all have offices, if you any of you all want some protocols, we've developed detailed protocols which you can share on what do you do when a person tests positive. How do you conduct their last rites? What are the things that you should know if somebody dies? These are some of the protocols that we need to follow. Simple things, for example, in the employers thing, and I'm not going to go again into the details of it. I'll share those write-ups. So this is something that we built with the Harvard Public Health Group to jointly come out as a formula on what do you do when a person tests positive in an office. So I've faced this problem about 8 times. 8 of my colleagues turned positive, and the first thing was he was sitting in front of me, and the report comes in front of me saying he's tested positive. So I don't have to panic. My first thing is, don't suddenly outcast him. Don't suddenly cut him off as a social outcast. He will. So first thing is empathize with him. So how did I open the entire conversation with him? I told him, look, I think you have tested positive. Empathize with him. Give him all the support. Tell him that we are all with you. We are going to maintain our guidance with you. So there are a lot of protocols that I've devised based on personal experiences on how do you deal with a COVID positive patient, and how can you offer more help to them? How does the HR, the administration work with them in a more positive way? And how do you bring them out of this particular this situation in a positive way? The other thing that I've emphasized a lot on is how do you maintain productivity in the time of Corona? Now, this is very, very crucial. How do you maintain productivity? And I've just broadly outlined some of the things I did. March 5th, I think it was around March 5th that I was actually given the first indications that Corona is going to go out of hand. And that day I had a call with my team. I told them, look, the next coming months is going to be a difficult time. We will have to reinvent ourselves. We will have to reinvent our complete strategies. And I gave them a list of plans saying that let's look at a productivity plan. And they thought to themselves that time that on March 5th, it was too early. Even Modi had not announced. They said, sir, do you really think this is going to happen? I said, just wait and watch for the next 1 month and we will come back again and reconsider. But I said, I'm giving a plan. So what I did to my team was I told them the next 2-3 months, I said, get ready and focus on research. So I actually contacted with Elsevier's Lancet Resource Center. We brought them in as academic partners. It was too early, but I said, you come in as partners with us because we will need to do more research on this. I made my teams create research, publications. I created special training programs for them. And they were wondering, why would we require so much of training at this juncture? We created certified courses for them, online consultations. We moved towards an online platform. We started building up social engagements with governments, assisting them, and created employer engagement programs. The bottom line is today, when I look back for March 5th, I feel happy. I feel I'm happy I thought of it that day, because of which I did whatever intervention I could. We actually went and did morale boosters for them. We created a lot of structured programs around this whole thing of corona, trying to build morale of people, I started moving towards creating new therapies for immunology. It's a very strange thing. Many people ask me, what is your connection with COVID? You're an oncology expert. And I was telling them, in oncology, virology is an integral part. So we play with viruses a lot because virology is a good friend of oncology. Reason being that viruses cause cancer. So I told them, I said, we needed to create innovative things. And my immunology lab had two top research scientists, Gururaj Rao and Jyotsna Rao. Jyotsna was a research associate who had worked with Ralph Steinman in Rockefeller University. Ralph Steinman won his Nobel Prize for discovering the immune system. So when we were chatting, this is again around the second week of March, I was telling them this is the time that we show the world the scientific prowess India has. This is not the time for us to sit down, lock ourselves and sit at home and say the government has asked for a lockdown. We have to beat against all odds and make this happen. So we started working on new therapies. I was sharing with the team, I was actually March 12th, 13th, I was supposed to be in London for this meeting. So I was invited by Mr. Michael Bloomberg, who is the WHO and the UN ambassador. And Dr. Tedros, the WHO Director General, was supposed to be in this meeting. And Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, was hosting this meeting. 5-7 days back, we had an email from Mr. Bloomberg's office telling us that we should come for this meeting. I had a call with his office and they told us that you should come in as an inspiration, as a speaker to come and speak there against all odds because Bloomberg himself has committed to this particular meeting. So we all had agreed. And just imagine this, in 3-4 days, the health minister of UK got infected and the whole meeting got postponed. It was at that time, the WHO meeting, Ali, that I actually sat together. And, I talked to a lot of world leaders and they all told me this is going to hit a pandemic. And they said China has hidden facts. They have not really expressed the full facts. So they actually asked me at that time to start working on some of the therapies like plasma and other things. So what I did was I started this work around March 2nd week. I started the work. That is why I am here today. So if you look at the details of the virus, I'm not going to confuse you all with this slide, but what you simply need to know is that the left is better than the right. The more the viral load increases, you go from stage 1 of the infection to the stage 3 of the infection. So the only way to reduce and reduce the death rates is to catch it early. So my friends, just simply to tell you, if you have the slightest symptom and doubt yourself, dry cough, diarrhea, headaches with fever, and remember with fever, please immediately start thinking about immediately getting yourself checked. So we started on a lot of therapies. I'm not going to again go into the medical aspect of this because it's beyond the purview. But what I want to tell you is I started working on plasma therapy where I'm running a WHO registered trial. Our full team has been working on creating a complete new cytokine therapy which works on reactivating your immune system. And what we've done with this is not only for this virus, also for all the future viruses, because this can actually create a memory inside your immune system to recognize any future viruses. We've created something for the critically ill using mesenchymal cells. So we've got a whole lot of protocols that we've developed, and I'm again not going to go into the details of each of these. I can share with Murli this video of how plasma therapy works. That's for interested people. So I told you, how did we remain productive? So I published about 11 articles. Actually, now it's 18 in the last 3 months in all international journals. I kept publishing, kept writing on it. I had some time in my side. I thought, how can I use it effectively? We had partners with research. We started creating a research module. So I'm just kind of sharing examples of how did we keep our teams busy? How did we create research as a career extension? So I've last 3 months, I've created a special program called the Surgeon Scientist Program in my hospital, which I'm collaborating with the National Health Services and bringing in a lot of international partners into this. I actually built this on the basis of these 9 musketeers. These 9 musketeers, they have something very interesting in common. All 9 of them have won the Nobel Prize. They are all surgeons. So I told my team that there was a need because surgeons were busy only operating. And I said, there was no surgeries happening suddenly because of COVID. I told them, I said, better that you reinvent the wheel and start looking at as a scientist. So I actually sent a lot of my surgeons into the labs to spend time in laboratories, looking at genetic research, microbiomes, looking at immunology, to come out with innovative programs in this. And I'm going to again skip some of this, but very interesting was bench to bedside research would take around 17 years. Today I saw it reduced to 17 days. It as though looked like the bench was next to the bedside. And what I again, in the morning and earlier when I was speaking to Murli and Bojrat sir and the other teams there in the executive committee, I was telling them that if you see the next 10 years from now, it is going to have such professions that you have never heard of before. And these few that I have actually named here have already existed right now. I don't know if you have heard about a drone runner or a medical clown, a chief belief officer, a chief dreamer, epigenetics counselor, or an ethical hacker. Now, these are professions that have already got a high paying scale right now itself. So imagine we will need to recreate future in a new way. And that is what I would encourage each one of you. If you are in an organization leading it or participating also, I think you need to open up this thing to the younger generations. And this is another module that I'm actually creating. I'm creating podcasts on this thing called the reverse innovations or on reverse mentoring. Now, reverse mentoring is a principle where we say, what can the rich learn from the poor? What can corporations learn from startup? What can younger teach the elderly people? Because something about corona is true, that everyone has gone wrong. The WHO has gone wrong. Biggest ministries, central governments, prime ministers, presidents have gone wrong. So we need to relook at strategies on understanding what could the youth have taught us better, because we naturally failed in most fronts of it. So I think that's something that I just wanted to share on what are the things we are doing. I was very happy to see one of the students. I forgot her name. She was actually one of the members of the today's meeting. This girl is, I think, in third year of MBBS, and she's done something on this RGHS innovation platform. And I must tell you all, it was almost March 25th that the Vice Chancellor of the Rajiv Gandhi University asked me, as the chair of this particular program, to say, why don't you think of something for the centenary celebrations? And I said, why don't we host a hackathon on the same principles of reverse mentoring? And our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Sachidanand, was so graceful. He immediately told me, Vishal, I like the idea. I would encourage you all. And Professor Rajesh Anai, me and Vice Chancellor Saab sat together. And he pulled off and he told me, go ahead and just do this. So we, in 5 days, set up a program, which was one of the benchmarks. So, in 5 days, we actually set up the hackathon. So I spoke to IIMB, I spoke to Indian Institute of Science, NSR Cell, Microsoft, and GHA, Elsevier. So all of them came together and said, okay, let's host it together. So this happened over a WhatsApp, that we had a very quick conversation and we hosted the innovation challenge. Now, the most interesting part was VC Saab asked us, what do you think? Whom should we invite? And we said, why don't we invite the Prime Minister? And so we wrote a note to him and we asked him, I said, so would you be willing to come? Next day he replied back to us saying, I would love to come and participate in this. And he personally came, participated in the program, launched it. And today I'm happy that in the Sthanika Brahmin community, we have at least one student who has come in the top 27, and who has innovated as a young girl. She has come and innovated on some app that she's developed, trying to look at it. And I'm saying, this is it. These guys will have to teach us. In that entire forum I was witnessing, I had first year students who were sitting in front of me and teaching me. First year students who were in a dissection hall, who were telling me, we have developed an artificial intelligence algorithm that looks at environmental factors, that wants to look at it. I had actually told the Vice Chancellor we should put a topic on entertainment. And he said, who would be working on entertainment? I had this group of two young ladies who came to me and said, sir, we've actually created a startup. We are in our final year. We, after medicine, don't want to practice medicine. We want to look at entrepreneurship for education. I mean, imagine the clarity of thought that the younger generation had. And we've not trusted them enough to say that they can do it. So I told the university, let it be the first medical university that trusts the youngsters. Let us go out and tell them that we are ready to handhold them, fund them, and actually nurture their ideas. So I'm going to close with another few points. Murli, just tell me if I'm running out of time. I'm going to close with the next
No,
few
doctor,
slides.
you can take time. It's absolutely no issues. We have some questions. We will talk about it after that. But you take your time, doctor.
So what I wanted to share was, I think the last few slides, I just wanted to leave it to some thought-provoking questions. So one of the things that I wanted to share with you all was, what's the difference between the lessons we learn in the classroom versus the lesson we learn in life? The most beautiful aspect of it is that the lessons that we learn in the classroom, you learn the lessons first and then you give an exam. But in the lessons of life, you actually get the exam first and then you learn the lessons. And corona is one such exam that we've given today. a lot of lessons are learned from Corona, and this is a very interesting perspective that we cannot forget these lessons. These lessons need to be imbibed. These lessons need to be changed. They need to be incorporated into our lives. So I'll just quickly wind up. ನಾನು 2 ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ವಿವರವಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಕ್ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಈ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ಕಲಿತ ಅಂಶಗಳೇನು? ನಮ್ಮ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಮೊದಲು ಪಾಠ ಕಲಿಸ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನಮಗೆ ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ಜೀವನದ ಜೀವನದ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಮುಖ್ಯವಾದ ಇದು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ನಮಗೆ ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಮೊದಲು ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ನಮಗೆ ಪಾಠ ಕಲಿಯಕ್ಕೆ ಸಿಗತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಈ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಸೋಂಕಿತರಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಕೊರೋನಾದ ಆತಂಕದಿಂದ ಆಗಿರುವ ಕೆಲವು ಪಾಠಗಳು ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನವನ್ನು ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಎದುರಿನ ಇಸ್ವಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಮುಕ್ತಾಯ ಮಾಡಿ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು 2-3 ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ವಿಷಯಗಳನ್ನ ನಾನು ಇವಾಗ ಹೇಳಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ ಫಾರ್ ಮೀ, I call this the last laugh. I don't know how many of you must have heard this on how do you make God laugh. They say, tell him your plans. Okay. Now, he always has the last laugh. So I was, I love biking. So I was actually on a biking tour on the 100th year of Swami Vivekananda's birthday. We had actually planned a trip. So we were on a tour. So on the way towards Wayanad at this particular time, actually one of my senior colleague friends, Dr. Swaminath, called me to his place. I don't know how many of you all have heard of this place. So this is called, this place is called Chittadama. So Dr. Swaminath is a very dear friend. I was going biking. So Swaminath sir said, why don't you stop at my place? Let's have a cup of coffee. I want to show you this place. I don't know if you all have heard about this place. So this is something which he has been speaking to me about, saying, Vishal, you have to see my work. He never told me what he did. He just kept telling me, Vishal, I run this little small center, which is something that has been my passion. And he's a very, very renowned psychiatrist from Bangalore, but renowned across the country. He's been the editor of the Indian Journal of Psychiatry. So he kept telling me, you should visit the center of mine, which I run. I said, oh, I said, sir, very interesting. So that day when he called me, on the way in the biking, I stopped there. And, interestingly, what he does, now he ಬೀದಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಚ್ಚರು ಓಡಾಡ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಯಾರು ನಾವು ಬೆಗ್ಗರ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ, ಹುಚ್ಚರು ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ, ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಕುಡಿದು ಬಿದ್ದಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಥವಾ ಹುಚ್ಚರಂಗೆ ಒದರಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾತನಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ನಡೀತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅಂತವ್ರನ್ನ ನಾವು ಹುಚ್ಚರು ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ, ಬೀದಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಡೆಯುವಂತ ಹುಚ್ಚರು. ಸ್ವಾಮಿನಾಥ್ ಸರ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರು ಈ ಹುಚ್ಚರನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡು ಅವರು ಈ ಒಂದು ಚಿತ್ತಧಾಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಕಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಅವರ ಅಸ್ತಿತ್ವ, ಅವರ ಹೆಸರು, ಅವರ ಮನೆ ನೆನ್ಪು ಮಾಡಿಸಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಅವರನ್ನು ಮನೆಗೆ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದು ಅವರ ಜೀವನ, ಇದು ಅವರ ಕೆಲಸ. So very beautifully he does this. So he runs this initiative where he takes these mad people who walk on the road, these wanderers, these psychiatric wanderers. He takes them to their houses, helps them remember who they are, and then after that sends them back. And I can go on. This is a separate presentation by itself. I'm cutting it short in a slide. But the most beautiful things that I saw here, I spent that half day there. I did not spend a minute, an hour, but I spent half a day there because I couldn't hold my emotions when I actually visited the place. So I always thought when I started the biking trip, I thought it was about the bike, but then I realized it was actually about Swaminath. So I ended up sitting here. So these are some of the few people I met. This person had come in like this. When I met him, he was like this. This gentleman came in like this. When I met him, he was actually farming in that particular area. It was a small 5-acre land where he's actually taken care of. There are about 20 beds. So it was a very, very touching experience, But something very beautiful happened. So at the end of this half day, when I was leaving, Dr. Swaminath gave me a little diary and said, Vishal, write your experiences in this. So ನಾನು ನನ್ನ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸಸ್ ಬರೆಯೋಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಡೈರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೆಯೋಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದೆ. ಸೊ ನನಗೇನೋ ಒಂದು ತಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿತ್ತು. ನಾನು ಸ್ವಾಮಿನಾಥ್ ಸರ್ ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ಸರ್ ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸಜೆಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಿತ್ತು ನಿಮಗೆ. ಸೊ ಸ್ವಾಮಿನಾಥ್ ಸರ್ ಒಂದು ಪಾಸಿಟಿವ್ ವೇಲಿ ನನಗೊಂದು ವಿಷಯ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ವಿಶಾಲ್, ನನ್ನ ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಫಿಲಾಸಫಿ ಉಂಟು. ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಸಜೆಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಅವರೇ ಅದನ್ನು ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ನಾನು ಅದನ್ನು ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಂಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ನಾನು ಅರ್ಧ ದಾರಿ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ, ಬಾಯಿ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ, ಒಂದು ಅರ್ಧ ಮಾತು ತಿಳಿಸಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೆ. ಸೊ ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಕೊಂಡ್ ಬಿದ್ದೆ, ಏನು ತಪ್ಪಿಸಕ್ಕಾಗಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ನಾನು ನನ್ನ ಮಾತನ್ನು ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ನನಗೊಂದು ಆಸೆ ಉಂಟು ಸರ್, ದಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಕ್ ಇರ್ತಿದ್ರೆ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಗಾಯತ್ರಿ ಮಂತ್ರ, ಪ್ರವಚನಗಳು, ಏನೋ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಕ್ ಇರ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ನೆಮ್ಮದಿ ಬರ್ಬೋದು ಈ ಪಾಪ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ಸ್ ಗಳಿಗೆ. ಆ ಉದ್ದೇಶದಿಂದ ನಾವೊಂದು ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಕ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಹಾಕ್ಬೋದಲ್ಲ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರು ನಕ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಹೌದು, ಬಾರಿ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಐಡಿಯಾ, ನೀನೇ ಹಾಕ್ಬಿಡು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಸೊ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ಆಯ್ತು ಸರ್, ನಾನು ಅಗ್ರಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಈಗ ಅವರು ನನಗೊಂದು ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಮಾತು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ದ ಗ್ರೇಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ವೈಸ್ ಅ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಇಸ್ ಅಡ್ವೈಸ್. ತುಂಬಾ ಜನ ನಾವು ಅಡ್ವೈಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಇದು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಹಿಂಗಿರ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಇರ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ಅವ್ರದ್ದೊಂದು ಫಿಲಾಸಫಿ ನನಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಮೆಚ್ಚಿತ್ತು. ಅವ್ರು ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಆಗಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಅಡ್ವೈಸ್ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಅವರೇ ಅದನ್ನ ಇಂಪ್ಲಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ನನಗೆ ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಕೊಂಡು ಬಿದ್ದೆ. ಸೊ ನನಗೇನು ಹೇಳಿದೆ, ನಾನು ಹೋಗಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಕ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ತಗೊಂಡೆ. ಫೋನ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಸ್ವಾಮಿನಾಥ್ ಸರ್ಗೆ, ಸರ್ ಇದು ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಕ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಕಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿ. ಅವ್ರು ನನಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ನಾನು ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ನೀನು ಯಾಕೆ ಹಾಗೆ ತಗೊಂಡು, ನನಗೆ ಕೇಳಬೇಕಾಗಿತ್ತಲ್ಲ. ಅಲ್ಲ ಏನಾಯ್ತು ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಕ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ತಗೊಳಕ್ಕೆ? ಇಲ್ಲ, ಇವರು ಸೈಕ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿಕ್ ಪೇಷಂಟ್ಗಳು, ಇದು ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ಹೈಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕು, ವೈರ್ಲೆಸ್ ಇರಬೇಕು ಹೇಳಿ ಒಂದು 20 ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಈಗ ನನಗೆ ಒಳ್ಳೆ ತಮಾಷೆಲಿ ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಕೊಂಡು ಬಿದ್ದಂಗೆ ಆಯ್ತು. ವಾಪಸ್ ಹೋಗಿ ಮ್ಯೂಸಿಕ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟೆ, ಹೊಸ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಹೀಗೆ ಮಾಡಿಸಿ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಕಾರ್ಪೆಂಟರ್ ಹಚ್ಚಿಸಿ. ಸೊ ಇದು ಇನಾಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಮೊದಲನೇ ದಿನ. ಆ ದಿನ ತುಂಬಾ ಜನ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಆನಂದ ಪಟ್ಟರು ಪೇಷಂಟ್ಗಳು. ಬಟ್ ಮುಖ್ಯವಾಗಿ ನನಗೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಹೇಳಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಏನ್ ಪಟ್ಟದ್ದು ನಾನು, my message in this was that how do you find your purpose in life? I think all of us have ambition. All of us want to be an CEO, director, some chairman, vice chairman. But I say that the most redefining principle is to move from ambition to purpose in life. So I think that's a very, very important thing. And I thought this particular thing that even now when I think about Allah, ನಾನು ಯಾಕೆ ಆ ದಿನ ಸ್ವಾಮಿನಾಥ್ ಸರ್ ಕಡೆ ಹೋದೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, I think it was a most memorable event ನನ್ನ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ. ನಾನು ಹಿಂತಿರುಗಿ ನೋಡುವಾಗ ಅದೊಂದು ಎಂತ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಮೈಲ್ ಸ್ಟೋನ್ ಇತ್ತು ಹೇಳಿ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಈ ಮನುಷ್ಯನು ಏನೊಂದು ಕಮಿಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಏನೊಂದು ಕೆಲಸ, ಹೇಗೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು, ಹೇಗೆ ಸಾಧಿಸಿದ್ರು ಹೇಳಿ. ಸೊ ಹಲವಾರು ಇಂಥ ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗಳು ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ಬೋದು. ಬಟ್ ನಾನು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸಿಂಪಲ್ ಕ್ಲೋಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೇಳಕ್ ಇಷ್ಟಪಡ್ತೇನೆ. ನಾನು ಐ ಶೇರ್ ದಿಸ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಅಲಾಟ್. ನಾನು ಜಾನ್ ಹಾಪ್ಕಿನ್ಸ್ ಯೂನಿವರ್ಸಿಟಿಗೆ ಲೀಡರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀನಿ, ಫ್ಯಾಕಲ್ಟಿಗೆ, ಬ್ಯಾಲ್ಟಿಮೋರಿಗೆ. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾಗ ನಾನು ಅವ್ರದ್ದೊಂದು ಹಾಲ್ ಆಫ್ ಫೇಮ್ ಹೇಳಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ. So they have a very beautiful thing where they have these two things hanging, Dr. Alfred Blalock and Vivian Thomas. Now Alfred Blalock is a cardiothoracic surgeon who is considered to be the godfather of surgeries for the blue baby children. ಈ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಹುಟ್ಟಿದ ಕೂಡಲೇ ಸಾಯ್ತಿದ್ರು, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ there was a hole in their heart. ಸೊ ಅದರ ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿ ವಿವಿಯನ್ ಥಾಮಸ್ ಹೆಸರಿತ್ತು, who was the brain behind the blue baby surgery. I want all of you to sit down and think for a second. He was a cardiothoracic surgeon, Alfred Blalock. ಯಾವ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು ವಿವಿಯನ್ ಥಾಮಸ್ ಹೇಳಿ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ. ನಾನು ಇದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಉತ್ತರ ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತೇನೆ ನಿಮಗೆ. And last thing that I want to tell, the 2 points that I wanted to share with you was Justice M.N. Venkatachalaya. He's been a mentor, a guide, and a guru. He told me something very beautiful. He said that India should look beyond the limited milestones of GDP alone to mark its progress, because GDP can be run by smugglers also, by pirates also, better than politicians. Our country should look at expansion of freedom. And he told me a very beautiful thing. He said, Vishal, he said, if 3 doctors every day go walking to the hospital from their home, the GDP is low. And if all the 3 doctors on the way to the hospital buy a car and start driving in a car to the hospital, the GDP will become better. But if the same 3 doctors on the way from the home to the hospital die in an accident, the GDP is the best. So GDP is a very limited milestone of assessing progress. And today is the right time for us to rethink on this philosophy, because we are at the lowest GDP points right now. But what is it that can define our global happiness index? What is it that is going to help us rekindle our effort is something which we need to think of in a much larger philosophical way. And I'm going to end my 2 things with 2-3 points that I just want to give as a message. I was in Pittsburgh when Randy Pausch died. If anybody of you would be interested, please read this book. Idon Pustakan Odi, the last lecture really on lessons in living. So I was at Carnegie Mellon for his funeral on that day, and Randy Pausch died. So there is a custom in Carnegie Mellon that now retire ಆಗುವ ಮೊದಲು ಒಂದು ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಲೆಕ್ಚರ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇವನು ಪ್ಯಾಂಕ್ರಿಯಾಟಿಕ್ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸರ್ ಇಂದ ಸಾಯ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದ. ಸಾಯೋ ಮೊದಲು ಇವನು ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಗೆ ದಟ್ ನನಗೂ ಒಂದು ಅವಕಾಶ ಕೊಡಿ ಹೇಳಿ, ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಲೆಕ್ಚರ್ ಕೊಡಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳಿ. ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಅ ಬ್ಯೂಟಿಫುಲ್ ಲೆಕ್ಚರ್ which is available on a video, plus the book which is actually about living your childhood dreams. So I think I would urge all of you all to read this. And I would like to share something. See, I had a very interesting encounter and exchange with His Holiness. This is something very beautiful he said. Then when asked him what surprised him most about humanity, he said man, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices his money in order to recuperate his health. Then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present. The result being he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he is never going to die, and then he dies as if he has never lived. So I think I'll close with these few points, that the only way to avoid criticism is do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. So the question is, try to do your best. And I'll give you I don't know if somebody has an answer to this particular question. I don't know. I'll look at. I don't know. Let me see the chat box if somebody has an answer to this question on who was Vivian Thomas.
Not yet, doctor.
Not yet. No. So I'll share with you. You know, he was a janitor. He was a toilet cleaner. He was not a cardiothoracic surgeon. He was not a radiologist. He was nobody. He was a toilet cleaner. And why I say this is, see, I tell this to my students. Look, just imagine this fellow, the commitment with which this fellow drove the whole thing. Vivian Thomas was not a doctor. He actually was a toilet cleaner. He was extremely enthusiastic in this subject. ಅವನಿಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಇಷ್ಟ ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಆ ಉದ್ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಕಾರ್ಡಿಯಾಲಜಿ ಓದ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅವನು ಇದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಪಡೆದಿದ್ದ. He had learned a lot about the blue baby surgery. So when he got this opportunity, what he did was he went to meet Blaylock in one of the get-togethers that the doctors had arranged. He went as a waiter. He actually went to meet him there and explained to him that he could solve the blue baby surgery. And you know, Blaylock was actually interacting with all the surgeons. When he suddenly walked in, serving the drinks over there, he told Blaylock, "Sir, I think we can solve this problem. I need your help." So Blaylock did not ignore him. Blaylock just told him, "Can you meet me later?" And Blaylock and Vivian Thomas together did animal experiments and actually did the first successful blue baby surgery in the world. And you know, at that time, the interesting part was when he was performing the surgery, Vivian Thomas was not allowed inside the surgery, OT. So he was asked to go outside because he didn't have a degree. So he requested them, saying that he will not be allowed inside because he's not a doctor. The first thing that he did was Blaylock said, "Look, I won't be able to perform this surgery without this man." So he was called in with special permissions, and the history knows for a fact that he was the fellow who performed the surgery and guided the Blaylock's hands. And he told something very beautiful at that time, that he was actually forced humility. He said, "I never wanted to be humble. I was forced to be humble because I did not have the degree that I require." And I'm just telling this specifically to youngsters, that remember, we have so many opportunities today. We have so many good educations, online platforms. We have so much of information at the click of a button with Google, yet we don't use it. So these examples like Vivian Thomas today are a standing example to tell us that when you desire something, how deeply you need to desire something to achieve it. And it is not difficult. ಇದನ್ನು ನಾವು ಸಾಧಿಸಬಹುದು, ಇದನ್ನು ಪಡಿಸಬಹುದು. ಖಾಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ನಮಗೊಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನೂ ಸಾಧಿಸಬಹುದು ಅದು. ಸೊ ಇಷ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ, I think I'll close my talk. Thank you very much, Murli. I hope I've not overshot the time again.
No, absolutely not, Dr. Vishal. Thank you very much. It was so brilliant webinar. We have plenty of questions coming in. Before that, if you allow me to just take 120 seconds take away from some of the key things.
Please.
Then I'll get to the question answers. Doctor started with talking about the 3T principles: trace, test, treat, and then extend that to a 5T. Then he also explained how lockdown was important for preparing ourselves. He said it's not a healthcare operation, it's a military operation. Also, how preparedness is important to face this pandemic. Doctor ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ ಇದು ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಗೆಲ್ಲಬೇಕಾದ ಹೋರಾಟ, ಆಸ್ಪತ್ರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. Then he also explained about how does it spreads. He talked about the R0 method, and he suggested that his advice was, please test it with the slightest symptom ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಮತ್ತೆ he stressed upon the point about the reverse quarantine. It spreads faster in the age group of 20 to 49 years, and of course it is dangerous for the people with age group greater than 60. So young people need to take care of the elders. ಮತ್ತೆ ಅವರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಹಾಗೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳು, ನಾಯಿಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ಹಸುಗಳು ನಮಗೆ ಇಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿಯನ್ನು ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಹಾಯ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಹೇಟ್ ದೆಮ್ ಅಂತ ಕೂಡ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಮತ್ತೆ how does the virus impact our psychology, behavioral and economical stress level in the coming days was a very thoughtful discussion. Then he also talked about how important it is to improve our EQ, which is emotional quotient. Finally, how it is important to maintain our productivity during this critical time. That was very important. I think the last but not the least, which I picked up was ನಾವು ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊದಲು ಪಾಠ ಕಲಿತು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಎದುರಿಸ್ತೇವೆ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊದಲು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಎದುರಿಸಿ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಪಾಠ ಕಲಿಬೇಕಾಗಿದೆ. So lots of lessons learned from this corona. We need to adapt to our life. And ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. So it is my humble attempt to capture few points from what doctor said beautifully in the last 45 minutes or so. With that, we have a lot of questions have come in. There are about 30 odd questions, but I have tried to consolidate some of them. Probably ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹೆಸರನ್ನು ಹೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕಿಲ್ಲ, ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಮೂರ್ನಾಲ್ಕು ಕ್ವಶನ್ಗಳು, ಮೂರ್ನಾಲ್ಕು ಜನದ ಒಂದು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಬಂದಿದೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ announce your name, but I will try to ask as much questions to doctor. Hopefully, if you all can stay for another 20-30 minutes, it will be great. With that, doctor, if you permit, we'll ask some of the questions.
Please.
So the first and foremost was, once infected and recovered, can the person move around freely and not get infected again, or not spread, or is there any hidden danger? ಗುಣಮುಖನಾದ ಕೊರೋನಾ ರೋಗಿಗೆ ಮುಂದೆ ಸೈಡ್ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಬರ್ತದಾ?
ಈಗ ಮೊದಲಾಗಿ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಸೋಂಕು ಬಂದಿದ್ರೆ ದ ಜನರಲ್ ರೂಲ್ ಇಸ್ ಅವನಿಗೆ 2 ಸತಿ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್ ಬರಬೇಕು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಹಿ ಗೆಟ್ಸ್ ಡಿಸ್ಚಾರ್ಜ್ ಅವನಿಗೆ 2 ಸತಿ ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ PCR ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್ ಬರಬೇಕು, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ವಿ ಎಲಿಮಿನೇಟ್ ಎನಿ ಕೈಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಾಲ್ಸ್ ನೆಗೆಟಿವ್. So very important is 2 times. If the thing is negative, then what is the chances of he getting the infection again? The chances of he getting the infection again is around 17%. That means 17% he can again get the infection again. This is known from the China data and world over data now. ಇವು ಯಾಕಾಗತ್ತೆ ಇವರಲ್ಲಿ? ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಇವರಲ್ಲಿ ಆಂಟಿಬಾಡೀಸ್ ಇನ್ನೂ ಡೆವಲಪ್ ಆಗಿರುವುದಿಲ್ಲ ವೈರಸ್ಗೆ. ಆ ಕಾರಣದಿಂದಾಗಿ ದೇ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಇನ್ಫೆಕ್ಟೆಡ್ ಅಗೇನ್. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಇಸ್, ನಿಮಗೆ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಸೋಂಕು ಬಂದಿದ್ರೆ ಅದರೊಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ನೀವು ಇಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿಯನ್ನು ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಚೆಕ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಒಳ್ಳೇದು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ IgG ಮತ್ತೆ IgM ಮಾಡ್ತೇವೆ ನಾವು ಟೆಸ್ಟ್, ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡೋದು ಮುಖ್ಯ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಯು ಕಮ್ ಟು ನೋ ದಟ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಡ್ ಯುವರ್ ಇಮ್ಯುನಿಟಿ ವೆರಿ ವೆಲ್.
Thank you, doctor.
And they can freely run around and move around. That's why it's important that once they are negative, they also test their immunity.
Thank you, doctor. Mundina question: if a total isolated person post-COVID comes in contact with people, is he or she susceptible to catch infections again, including COVID?
No, if a person with,
if he's already a totally isolated person post-COVID comes in contact with the people, is she or he susceptible to catch the infection again?
Again, it's the same old question. I'm saying it's 17%. Yes, you can, which is why it's very important for us to understand what is his immunity level, what is his baseline immunity level. It's very important to understand. So you can do a test where, like, for example, I've been doing my IgG, IgM test to just find out if I'm exposed or not to the virus. So it's very important to know that.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, isn't herd immunity is the right method to beat this, or is it the only way forward?
No, so herd immunity we are all talking about, but it comes at a very costly price. Herd immunity comes at a very costly price. It is not desirable at all. So it's very important to understand that to develop herd immunity, we need to touch 60% of a population. 60%. Currently, we are at 0.005% of our population. That's all. We should not let it touch 60% because that will come at a very, very big price. So herd immunity, as of now, seems to be the only option if the way it continues to grow. But then it will come at a very big cost. It will come at a very big cost. It will come at a lot of death, sufferings, miseries. And what we have not known today, and which I've been telling government seriously, is that we are knowing that 80% of them recover. What will happen to their immune system in the future? Will they actually be normal, or are they going to be having future diseases like cancer, other things? Is only what time can answer to us. We don't know. So every attempt needs to be made to see that we don't get the infection. Herd immunity is the last option that we are going to look at. In the meanwhile, we are working and racing hard towards a vaccine or a treatment.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, why are the so-called top developed countries, example America, failing to contain the spread?
I think America is, America got the warning early, but America is a classic example to show why leadership is important. See, today, CDC, which is one of the world's most renowned bodies that gives global direction on pandemic, has lost its reputation because the president somewhere doesn't believe in them. It's very important for the governments to have the scientific community take the lead. So today you see in India, ICMR has taken the lead to give directions on philosophies, treatments, protocols. It's not the government of India or ministry or prime minister telling you what to do. It is this group that is leading the front. It is very, very crucial that governments lead the front by allowing the scientists to come. This is what we call the pandemic protocol, or this is what is called the wolf theory, wherein the leaders stand behind the scientists. They don't go in front. So my minister has told me, Vishal, you think this is correct, you go ahead. Like when I told him about Plaza, he said, go ahead, because he believed that this is what is required. So that is what is very important and required today, that the pandemic protocol be implemented effectively by leadership from behind. And that's why it's very crucial. That's where most countries that have gone wrong have been, because they took it lightly, because they said they'll manage it, they'll think that it is going to vanish on its own. It won't vanish. Please note that this virus is not going to vanish. It has created a pandemic, and we know its crude fatality rate. We know that it is, we know it's R0. So we know it's not something that's just going to disappear. So what happened was, when we started, we said India is different from USA. Then we said Karnataka is different from Maharashtra. We know that it is not different. We have to keep ourselves protected. We have to do our best in this.
Okay, thanks, Doctor. I think this question you've answered already, but I'll just go ahead and ask a question. Is it advisable to get tested for COVID even if no symptoms are observed? So I think you said it
No.
already. Sorry, go ahead.
If you don't have symptoms, see, remember classically, if you have had a primary contact, which means you have come in close contact with the primary person who's already COVID positive, please wait for 5 to 7 days in isolation, in quarantine. If in that symptoms, if you get any symptoms, immediately get yourself tested. Now, typically, like I told you, by the time the virus enters the lung, it will produce cough. Once it enters in the next 2 days into the blood, you'll get fever. But classical two symptoms, and that also answers one of those questions, that the classical symptoms is cough with fever, because the virus enters the lungs and from there it goes into the blood. So the classic symptoms is cough with fever.
Okay, thanks, Doctor. The next question is, what is the guarantee on the COVID vaccine? There is a sense of urgency to release the vaccine, ICMR, etc., etc. Will it not cause trouble in future? Is it safe to give this to kids and elders? Basically, help us understand the vaccine process, please.
So see, when I'm currently working on a COVID-related cytokine treatment, which is very similar to a vaccine. Remember, whenever we work on a vaccine, you have to work on phase 0, which is animal experiments. After animal experiments, then you do the phase 1 first in human clinical trials, which is on healthy volunteers. Then you do a phase 2 clinical trials. Then you come, which is testing its efficacy in a small group of people. And then after that, you do a phase 3, which is comparing it with some standard document, with some standard vaccine. And phase 4 is post-population survey. So it usually takes a couple of months to a year for us to complete these trials. So for example, I have completed my animal studies, then I went into my clinical studies, which is in phase 1 clinical trials. I succeeded in that. Now I'm going towards phase 2 clinical trials. But it's a process. Now we know that on a conservative estimate, the vaccines would be ready by March 2021. That is where we are estimating it to be.
Okay. Thanks, Doctor. The question regarding, there are many Ayurveda information being shared to build immunity. There is always a tussle between English versus homeopathic versus Ayurveda. Your thoughts, please.
No, so I work a lot with a lot of Ayurveda and allopathy experts together. I work with the homeopathy people. I work with Ayurveda people. I believe each one of them has a role. Like for example, remdesivir tries to kill the virus, but Ayurveda, certain herbs, like we know green tea extracts, we know clove, we know cinnamon, we know there are so many components which can actually reactivate your immune system. Our own immunology lab has been working on several of these components to see how T cells get reactivated and other things. So there is a need for us to form common platforms. And I'm currently working with a group of them where we are a common platform, where we have Ayurveda experts, where we have homeopathy experts, where we have physicians, virologists. So it's a collective platform. It's very important for us to have a collaborative platform and not get divided on this.
Okay, thanks, Doctor. The next question is around, please throw some light on the method of plasma treatment.
ಸೊ ನಾನು ಮೊದಲು ಹೇಳಿದಂಗೆ, ಮೊದಲು ನಮ್ಮ ಈ ವೈರಸ್ಸು ನಮ್ಮ ಮೂಗಿನಿಂದ ಕುತ್ತಿಗೆಯಿಂದ ಶ್ವಾಸಕೋಶಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದು ಶ್ವಾಸಕೋಶದಿಂದ ರಕ್ತದ ನಳಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. So when it goes nose to the throat to the lung to the blood vessels. When it enters the blood vessels start creating antibodies, which is to kill the virus. So this is what we call as the humoral immunity or blood immunity. When this blood has two components, 55% of it is water or what we call plasma and 45% is cells. Now this water content or the colorless water, which we call plasma, has all these antibodies. So even if you just take the water from the person's blood, you will be able to get those antibodies which are like medicine.
Thanks, doctor. The next
I'll
question is,
send that video, Murli. You can show it to everybody because that explains the entire principle of how plasma therapy works and all that.
sure, sir. The next question is your views on the varied news about the virus being airborne. Is it true that the COVID virus is changing its structure, and is it airborne?
So two parts to it. Virus, it is not changed its structure. There are 7 forms of it, 4 of which are less lethal, 3 of which are very lethal, but it has not changed forms. The second aspect, yes, it's partially airborne, which means that once it is in the air, based on the weather, based on the patterns of moisture, it can be remaining in the suspended air for some time. And during that time, if there is a wind, there are other environmental factors, it can play a role to get airborne. So it is true.
Okay, thanks, doctor. The next one is what are the top 3 day-to-day food habits and lifestyle changes to fight COVID-19?
So see, the 3 most important things that I've laid emphasis to is number 1 is diet. So going towards fibers, fruits, proteins, vitamins, minerals, less amount of carbohydrates and moderate fat is the key. That's the best way to do it. So have a diet that is less in sugars, more in fibers and proteins. That's the most crucial aspect. The second thing is breathing exercises. Every day do simple breathing exercise. So for example, the mantra I follow is in 1 minute we take about 12 breaths. I take one good 12, in the 12 breaths, I take one good deep breath. Take a good abdominal breath, 1 minute, and that is yoga. That is the simplest principle of yoga, that take a good deep breath because oxygen exchange takes place at the base of the lungs. The third point is taking plenty of water. So taking plenty of water, about 2 to 3 liters of water permissible by, if you don't have any kidney problems, 2 to 3 liters of water every day, because that is the best detoxification. These are 3 simple things that we can do.
Thank you, doctor.
And more amount of green leafy vegetables, sprouted vegetables, very, very helpful.
Thank you. The next one is, do we know how China treated almost 1 lakh COVID-19 patients? Can that model be used in other countries?
See, most of what we know is that China may not be telling us the complete truth, because we know from all the global examples that there are, see, the funny part for them is they can't let out their entire secret. But if they say that none of them have been affected, then the question will be, then why then tell us the secret about how you are treating? The answer is there's no answer to this straightforward. There is no clear answer to this right now, because we know that it came out of a lab. It was an experiment that went wrong. They don't have the ready answers for this vaccine. We will get the vaccine, no doubt, but it's going to take some time. So there's no magic bullet for this right now.
Okay. The next one, doctor, is how to detect the virus carriers, and what is the risk coming from the carriers?
What is the risk coming from carriers?
Yeah, how to detect the virus carriers and what is the risk coming from the carriers?
So where again the virus carriers only will be found out are the asymptomatic people. We'll have to do a PCR test. Very difficult to get them along. So what we know is not all carriers spread, but we don't have answers to these questions right now. Only thing we know is we can detect them through PCR test, and that's the only way we try to create this asymptomatic group. But what we have realized of late is that the 80 to 90% of the asymptomatic patients are actually pre-symptomatic, which means they develop symptoms in a span of 5 to 7 days.
Okay. The other questions around what is the treatment given to the COVID patients, even when in the early stages, and to asymptomatic patients?
Sorry?
What is the treatment given to the COVID patient, even when in early stages, and to the asymptomatic patients?
So in asymptomatic patients, the general rule is to give them just multivitamins, vitamin C. I'll share that protocol with you all. So if anybody has some asymptomatic patient, that basic thing can be good enough.
And I think you answered this already. Please advise on how to improve or build immunity, as immunity is the key to defeat the COVID.
Sorry, on the immunity, this is something I spoke just now. You're saying these 3 components you follow.
Absolutely, yeah. The other question, doctor, is what are the warnings of asymptomatic cases as people die due to certain things such as cardiovascular diseases while having COVID?
Correct. So again, this happens because of late testing. This happens because we are the bottom line is people with comorbidities, people who are aged need to be specially protected, and if they have symptoms, should not ignore it. Most of these deaths are happening because they get detected late and they had elderly age groups or people with comorbidities who delayed their diagnosis and treatment.
Thank you, doctor. There are maybe 5-6 questions. If you stay with us for another 5-7 minutes, that will be great.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
And the question just came in, how can we prevent getting corona infection? What steps should we take for ourselves so as not to get the infection?
So, currently I'll tell you 3.5 months, I'm still corona negative with God's grace. So I can tell you what I've been following. From my side, I think the one thing that I've been doing is these 3 principles that I spoke to you about. In addition to this, I take a little bit of supplements that I'm doing every day. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹಾಲಲ್ಲಿ ಅರ್ಶನ ಹಾಕೋದು, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಚಮನ್ಪ್ರಾಶ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು. My Ayurveda experts have given me some things. Plus, in our own immunology lab, we have developed something called Swasthya Rakshak. It's a simple tablet. I'll share that thing with you, Murli. It's an anti-infective immune activation capsules which we have developed in our laboratory, which is a concoction of a few herbs. So we've started using that. I've personally started using that because I know in my own lab it has been prepared from our own team. So I'm fully confident because I saw the results. So I started taking that to activate immune system, and that's where I've been doing this all through. And more important than that, social distancing and mask. I think very, very crucial so that we don't come close, we maintain social distancing, because this virus is a very social virus. It is wanting to intermingle with people.
Right. I think again you answered this question in various topics, but I'll still go and shoot the question. Due to our job nature, we are meeting people like hospital staffs from our various countries. How to safeguard ourselves going forward? So if you want to add something.
I think this is very pertinent. See, for people who are interacting with hospital staff and all, what I would suggest is wearing a double. You wear like a small gown kind of a thing if you're going into a hospital environment with gloves. Before you come out of the place, dispose of the thing, because that will be worthwhile, because you're going into an environment, and wear your N95 mask. If you're entering into hospitals, remember they are currently high risk zones. So wear N95 masks.
Thank you, doctor. This question, I don't know, I'll leave it to you if you want to answer, but the question is, were you satisfied with the encouragement you received from the health authority on your research activities?
No, I think the point is that they are not geared for research. The amount of support I got from the ministry was tremendously good. There could have been a lot of areas better, but I realized that there are too many priorities that they are facing with right now. But what I can tell is at every step, the amount of encouragement that I got is phenomenal. So the amount of roadblocks that were cleared for me, but what I told them was that I saw several innovators that were facing bigger roadblocks. So I told them that there needs to be a forum to encourage them to fast track this thing, and that's what they are building up as mentorship programs. Because a lot of people get held because of bureaucracy, because of the existing confusion, because people are not aware about the way you approach the system. But a lot more can be achieved, and this is the biggest lesson for us. In fact, the most important thing in our country is research is never given a priority because we believe in copying others. So I have been re-emphasizing to our governments that it's time for us to rethink on our government strategy, to say we need to create in India, we need to make it in India, and for that we need research in India.
Thank you, doctor. The other question, so when can we expect a decline in the cases?
So what we are expecting is by November end, we will have some light in the end of the tunnel.
Okay, thank you. I think the one more question has just come in. Doctor, if at all COVID vaccine gets approved, Covaxin vaccine get approved in August 15th through Miracular trial and sign off, do you recommend us to go for it or wait for some more time?
No, I would say that, see, the government of India will not release any vaccine until the vaccine's data is made public. It is very important for us to get the data public and see what the data is going to show. If the data is going to show a lot of deaths, it's dangerous. But if the data shows that yes, it does give immunity to those 7 strains of viruses, which is looking very, very complicated, then in that case, we are at a much better point to actually use that virus. So I think we need to revisit this question by August 15th again, using the data that we have. And unlikely that I see that August 15th, the data will be ready.
Thank you, Doctor. I think those are all the few key questions came in. I think it's very,
I,
very helpful.
I think one Rajesh here, one question, one more question. I think one of our
Go ahead,
member, I think currently, I think he is corona positive and she is in hospital. What she wanted is that after she is discharged, what is the lifestyle changes you recommend her? That was one question she had actually.
So I think what I said, those three aspects of the thing, the diet, the water, the oxygen is very, very crucial, because these three form the triangle of the immune system. And the rest, like I told you, some amount of supplements which reactivate the immune system. So like I can connect you with the group that is doing this thing on specific activation of T cells using the herbal extracts. So
Okay.
those are some of the things that she has to be on, so that she boosts her immune system and bolsters it further.
Okay. Okay, I think the person you mentioned, one girl, right, Apeksha, she is also part of this. She's listening to it
Oh,
right
very
now,
good.
and she's from our
Very-
community. And she was the
very
person
nice.
who asked that question, right, about people suddenly dying out of, even though they are
Yeah,
asymptomatic.
yeah, it's also called happy hypoxia. When it's not, it's something that's suddenly happening. It's well known with the COVID.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Live, you want to ask Doctor?
I think we can allow people to ask questions of our
Doctor,
members.
sorry to interrupt. I'm Nagesh. Hello. Hope I'm
Go ahead,
audible. Yeah, pleasure to have Mr. Vishal. It is speaking such an important topic which is affecting all of us. In the interest of that community, I just want one simple question. Which are the simple measures that each one of us can follow to prevent and also safeguard us from this particular pandemic?
I think the most important thing what I'm seeing is, sir, we need to continue to work.
Hope my
Which is
question
going
was
to be very
audible.
difficult. Sorry, yeah, I can hear you. I think the difficult part will be that we will need to continue to work during this time of pandemic, and which is going to be a real tough call. So during this particular pandemic, the work pattern is going to be a real tough thing, but we will eventually not be able to contain the virus too long. So for example, if you are in your office and if it's entering your office, I had a person who has one of my friends who has a garment business, and 12 of his people tested positive. So it's going to be difficult in working environments, offices, to actually contain these viruses. So the only thing I see there is proper precautions in terms of masks, which is going to be suffocating, but you'll have to live with this now. And good masks, you'll have to invest in good masks, preferably wear gloves all the time, and a lot amount of use of hand sanitizers, and avoid close contacts with anybody within 6 feet as much as possible. Avoid it in if you don't know the person. And I think these are crucial aspects, because you really don't know, and it is better to assume that the person you are interacting with is corona positive, even if it's your family member, so that you maintain some distance. Especially it is important for people who go out, who are having a high chance of bringing the virus home. So I'm saying I'm going out for office and working in the hospital. When I come back home, I take double precautions to ensure that I don't carry the virus to my family. So these are some of the key precautions. And then third, like I told you, your diet, your regimen, maintaining it in such a way that your immune system is at its best, so that even if you get the virus, you're going to throw it out in 10 days.
Thanks, Doctor. Anybody else? Any other question? Direct question to Doctor.
Doctor, is there a specific type of mask that you recommend that we use? We see a lot of brands around, a lot of types of, there's a W95, there's a N95, so lots of them. For a regular usage, is there anything that you recommend that we use?
So see, for regular usages of masks, the regular masks are good enough. The triple layered masks are good enough. But if you're a healthcare worker and if you are having higher chances of getting contact, N95 is safer. N95 masks are much safer.
Doctor, one question came in just now. Wanted to know whether fever is accompanied by cough throat infection are the symptoms of COVID, or only cough without fever?
No, so like I told earlier, always remember that cough with fever is classical sign of COVID, because it enters the lung, then enters into the blood. So when it enters into the lung, it produces cough. It enters into the blood, it produces fever. So cough will come first, then fever.
Thank you, Doctor. So, Doctor, about 200 plus families have heard you watch the VOI presentation. So it was great having you here. It's our pleasure to have you spend your time, especially with the busy schedule. And thank you very much for your time, Dr. Vishal.